Hi, welcome back to my garden. It's been a funny old week. Nothing specific, just lots of irritating little small tasks that end up, I suppose, derailing a motivated, purposeful start to the day. And then before you know it, you've drifted into distraction and foolishness. I suppose the biggest, if I was to just sum up, the biggest single distraction has been an ongoing episode with a pool motor. And it reminded me, as it always does when I have trouble with a pool motor, of the joke my gardener told me all those years ago. Now, forgive me if you are an attentive listener to this channel, and you have a good memory. You'll probably know the joke that I'm about to tell as a sort of lead-in to the topic, or not really a lead-in, as it was thinking about this that kind of provoked the idea of this week's film. Anyway, the joke, and I'm going to give you as abbreviated version of it as I possibly can, goes like this. It's set in a rural place, and Bill and Bob meet up, and Bill says to Bob, "My, you look terrible." And Bob says, "Yep, I didn't sleep a wink. Dreadful evening as the cattle rustlers again, and they got away with all our cattle. I mean, it was horrible. And he says, "But Bill, you look great. How was your night?" He said, "No, fantastic. I had a perfect sleep." He said, "The cattle rustlers, not a problem in the slightest. He didn't take any cattle? No, left us alone. And how many cattle do you have?" And obviously, and if you remember the joke, and even if you haven't heard it before, you'll know where I'm going. Bob says, the question, "How many cattle do you have?" "None." And of course, the point of the joke is, which I've now mangled in trying to tell it quickly, but never mind. The point is that a lot of our problems we have because we have stuff. The cattle rustlers are only problems for people who actually have cattle, which is a good thing. Well, if you're a farmer. At any rate, let's try and put it in more general terms. You know, you only have a problem, general terms, more specific terms, my week. We only have a problem with a pool motor because we have a big swimming pool, and we live in a tropical country where it's something that we'd like to use every day, and we could. And it was quite a profound little joke that my gardener told me all those years ago. And I always come back to it. It sort of brings me back down to earth with a bump, as they say. You know, stop complaining. You have a pool. You'll be able to fix the motor. You have the means to do it. You're simply passing through a little bit of turbulence, but you'll land safely. And it tied in, interestingly, with another sort of counterposition, not a joke, thread that I've been following on a private chess page on Facebook for book collectors, chess book collectors, or chess book owners, really. Chess players in general. We love chess books. And it's one of those threads that someone starts with if you could only take 15 books, which would they be? And it's a wonderful fun. It's a sort of positive version of, the goat argument. But it does get you thinking in an interesting sort of way. Because all of us putting comments on the thread are faced with the inevitable problem that even if you have a relatively small library, 15 books probably isn't a lot. And certainly if you're looking at books in general, the 15 that you would choose, if you went and just ordered 15 books, boy, then it gets difficult. And stressful, do I take this one or that one? And at that point you start thinking, well, it sort of is strongly connected with the problem of the cows. You have a lot of books, and in a way they almost become a burden. You would almost be better off having less books and less knowledge of what books are out there, and just settling with what you've got and making the most of them. And indeed, over the last decade or two, there has been a growing support for the, in broad terms, minimalist movement. Strip down your life. The famous writer, lady Marie Kondo, The Joy of Tidying Up, and her criteria is a wonderful one worth sharing. If you're looking at your wardrobe full of clothes, ask yourself a question. Does this item bring me joy or not? If it doesn't, and joy you might interpret in the wider sense, then why is it there? Get rid of it. Strip it down. Simplify your life. Only that isn't a perfect solution. Just getting rid of everything isn't the answer. Getting rid of a lot of your clothes when you've run out of space in the wardrobe is a solution to a problem. Not having a swimming pool is not the solution to the problem of my stress with the pool motor. The solution to that problem is to be more calm and patient when dealing with everyday, banal domestic chores. Taking a long-term view. The answer to my chess book problem is to make the list, which I did, and then say, look, I have these 15 books. And quite frankly, if I read them and studied them, really pick them apart cover to cover, first of all, it will take me decades, actually, the 15 books. Because having read them, they will be well worth rereading. Admittedly, one is one that I have read many times, and it's a sort of coffee table inspiration book. So, but if that was my only coffee table book, and I either read that or read something else that wasn't chess related, that would be fine. That would probably be a solution to many of my time management issues, shall we say, and a kind of interesting guiding principle as to how I spend my time. So I was thinking about both these ideas during the week, in part because when I have these sort of topsy-turvy weeks, it's amazing how my mind starts, I don't want to say falling apart, but not thinking clearly. I'll give you an example. When I was dealing with the pull motor issue, I was also trying to solve another problem, which was, broadly speaking, getting an iToken for my bank app on my phone. And I've had all sorts of difficulties doing it at home. I'm sure I shouldn't. They said it's easy, but it wasn't for me. And so I went in to try and take care of this matter. And there's a chap at the electric auto teller, I've forgotten what, bank machine area, who gives you help. And I was having difficulty sort of finalising some details and using the QR code. And he helped me with all of this. But there are a lot of people asking him questions all at the same time. I found it very stressful, the whole situation. I was trying to essentially, to get this iToken was a necessary first step in sort of recovering essentially $50 that was I didn't realise I had sitting on an old bank travel card, you know, one of those sort of prepay foreign currency cards, and so it was a nice little bonus. Sort of covers the cost of a lot of the problems with the pool most of them, quite conveniently. Now, what was interesting though, because I'm as always rambling, what was interesting was with all that stress. It turned out what I wasn't doing is I hadn't actually switched on the app on my phone. So it wasn't going to automatically read it if I hadn't got around to opening the app. And I needed to read the QR code from the screen on the machine in the bank. So I started doing that, and then my mind absolutely drew a blank on my bank account number. And this is something I know very, very well. I mean, I would tell you right now, but that probably isn't the safest, securest thing to do on the World Wide Web, so I won't. But trust me on this, I know my bank account number off by heart, except under stress. I didn't. And it seems to me that that's part of the problem with all the stuff and clutter. It builds up unnecessary, stressful layers in your life. You know, because you have to make a decision. And just making decisions is, at least as I understand it, on a very mild neurochemical level, sort of stress-inducing. I think it's why Barry Schwartz has done so well with his TED Talk, talking about the problems of choice that we have. Having more choice in a supermarket doesn't make our life better, it makes our life worse, because it introduces a sort of artificial, unnecessary bit of stress. So that's it this week. I wasn't sure what I was going to talk about, and then these things happened, and I started asking myself, does it really matter? And the answer is no. I think even if this is a bit of a rambled salad of ideas, I think there's some sense there somewhere. At any rate, it's been helpful for me because it's got this sort of off my chest. Sorry to burden you, but I suspect you're not all that burdened. I do hope that this was useful. And I would encourage you to find an area where you can just strip things back, tidy things up, and just get on with that. Anyway, that's it this week. As always, I trust your lives are filled with joy. And until next week, ciao from sunny Brazil.